Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Hello everybody and welcome to the movie calendar. My name is Leigh.
My name's Terence.
And as you heard at the front of this episode, this week we're going to be talking about Rob Reiner's amazing film, The Princess Bride. We toyed with what quote to put at the beginning of the title sequence for the episode, and look, the obvious answer is obviously the correct one in this case. You have to go with that line. It is iconic for a reason, so we had to do it. It was just too good.
I'm a little bit saddened by the fact that I can't do that quote as well as Mandy Patinkin. It took all of my energies to not introduce myself with hello and that line, but it will probably drop sometime during this episode. I apologise.
I'm sure it will.
Not my strong point.
And
but
look,
it has
you know
to
what?
Be done.
You know what, Terence? You are in very good company because there is nobody else on the planet who can say that line as good as Mandy Patinkin does.
No, so satisfyingly again and again and again as well.
Yeah, it's so great, and yeah, we're going to be talking about that line as well as all kinds of other amazing things in this film as the episode goes on. If you're new here, welcome. It's so good to have you. We've got time codes in the description below if you feel like jumping around to your favorite part. If you're watching on YouTube, they're very easy to click on. Otherwise, they'll be in the description if you're listening on your favorite audio app of choice. We're going to jump into. So this week we're breaking the structure up into. Didn't even plan that. We're going to talk about the structure of the film a little bit right at the top, then go into characters, world building, and then writing, where we're really going to take a bit of a dive more into the structure there. Before we move straight into our what about whens. And I haven't told Terence this, but in between what about whens and characters, I've inserted a section in this week's episode called quotes. Because this film is so infinitely quotable, I had to do it. You can see the excitement on Terence's face. And that's why I didn't tell you beforehand. I wanted to get that live camera reaction. So I apologize,
cool.
Terence, for that, but I had to capture it. Terence loves bringing quotes into the episodes, and I thought with a film like this, it deserves its own section. So yeah, in between our what about whens and the movie calendar placement, will be a few choice quotes from the movie.
Just before we started recording, I said to Leigh, hey, let's do a section called quotes, and he just so quietly was like, you know what, we'll be talking about them through the whole thing anyway, don't worry about it. That's like the whole, I got this for you for Christmas, you don't want to get that. No, you don't want to get that model, I got it for him for Christmas. That was a good surprise. Cool. All right,
I'm very, very glad that you enjoyed it, and you're not going to sort of, maybe when the camera goes off, you might have a go at me for it, but that's okay. People don't need to see that.
People don't need to see that little fight that we had. We didn't have a fight. All right, I'm really excited to see what you have got to say about this film. This is one of my all-time favorites. It is just such a beautiful film to put on. This is one that I can watch with the family. It's one that I can put on in the background. It's one that no matter where it's at, I just hear the score of where it is and I know exactly what line is going to come next. I can't quote the line, but I know when it's coming. I anticipate it, and I run to the screen when I know something that is going to be cool is coming up so that I can see it, and then I go back to my normal things that are happening. So I love this. This gets played many times in my household. So I'm very happy to see it on the calendar, and happy for other people to see it as well. I've got to say, I was asking people at work today, hey, have you seen this? Have you seen this? And a lot of people had seen it, but look, this is something that's gained cult status through the years, and not everyone loves it, which shocked me. Most people did.
I think those people who are in the I don't love it camp need to give it a rewatch, because this movie is an absolute darling of a film. Yeah. It's so beautiful. For those of you who are regulars here for the movie calendar, you kind of know that I'm the kind of one that's like, I think we should do these movies, and maybe it's if Terence hasn't even seen it yet by the time we announce it, and then he watches it and then we talk about it. This one is, the chairs have switched. So this, as Terence just said, is one of his most favorite films, but myself, I'd had only seen this movie once before this week, and that once was probably 12 years ago. So a long time ago, 10 to 12 years ago. So I knew it was a classic, and I did really enjoy it back then. But yeah, getting to rewatch it again this week almost as a different person now. I can really respect it for what it is. It's just so gorgeous, and I've watched it 3 times this last week and done a deep dive on sort of how it was made and everything to do with it as much as I could. I know that this film has a fervent fan base, so we can only hope, if you're here checking us out because of that reason, that we do it justice for you. If there's anything that we missed, please feel free to leave them in the comments below if you're on YouTube, or tweet at us. Or mention it on Instagram. We are at the Movie Cal everywhere, or you can send us an email, the moviecal at gmail.com. It's on the screen. I always mess the email up, but that's all right. A little bit excited.
Get a new email one day. I don't know.
I like the moviecal at gmail.com. As much as I don't get it right every week, it's fine. It's all in the description below, as well as our website too, that you can check out.
Oh, and there are going to be huge spoilers. I don't know.
Massive spoilers again.
This was made in 87. You know, if you haven't seen this, do yourself a favour, go watch it, or just listen to this. It's going to be a lot of fun reliving all of this, and it might just inspire you to go watch it after you listen to the episode anyway. But yes, big spoilers, and we speak about it as if you've seen the film as well. So always take that into account.
Well, I haven't written one down. I'll give you a brief synopsis if you're still listening to us, to see if you want to go and check it out. I haven't written it down, but essentially it tells the story of a grandfather who is visiting his grandson who is at home ill, and he tells him the story that is The Princess Bride, which is all about a farm boy turned pirate who has to fight his way back to his true love. And that is all you kind of really need to know. It's got amazing characters. It's full of brilliant humour. And a gorgeous world, amazing cast, and just every aspect of the film is just near perfect, but we're going to dive into that very soon. So without any further ado, we've got The Princess Bride, directed by the great Rob Reiner, who you might know from A Few Good Men, When Harry Met Sally, and one of Terence's favourite films, This Is Spinal Tap, as well as a whole bunch of others, starring Carrie Elways, Robin Wright, Mandy Patinkin, Chris Sarandon, Wallace Shawn, Fred Savage, Andre the Giant, and Peter Falk, as well as cameos from a whole bunch of amazing people and other actors that we can't mention the whole list, but those are the ones that stand out the most for me. Written by William Goldman, and the director of photography I wanted to give a shout out because this movie just looks stunning, is Adrian Biddle.
It's got to be hard to do a fantasy world, especially in an era where a lot of it has to be physical art and models. So, you know, to pull off the composites in those massive scenes, you know, the cliffs and the ships coming around in the sunset, just, you know, you can tell it's in some sort of bathtub with foam rocks or something. I don't know. But he does such a good job. They did really well just to put you in this world.
Yeah, well, I think, and the first thing that we're going to touch on very quickly is structure, and they have like such a clever idea here with the structure of having it being a story within a story. So having the grandfather come and visit the grandson in modern times, so in present day, which would have been 1987 at the time, and giving him a book and said, "My father read this book to me when I was sick. I read it to your father, and now I'm going to read it to you." And then watching the film play out as it's being told as a story from grandfather to grandson just lends itself to such incredible creative license, and they can get away with things that you might not be able to if it was just a straight up fantasy movie. If you didn't have that element, you'd be like, oh, maybe these costumes will look a little bit too lavish and over the top, or like, why is there, you know, a giant, and why are all these people so good with swordplay? But it's like it's a story. It's a fake story. So you can get away with so much more, and they use it completely to their advantage. And I think it's just excellent writing, which we'll talk about writing in a little bit as well. But I just wanted to touch on that structure quickly because it's just so clever.
Yeah, it allows them to do so much more and to be all that more in the world of fantasy. Just that reminding the audience that they're reading a fictional book here. It's good. Just bringing them back to reality every now and then with Fred Savage's little, what is this, a kissing book? Yeah.
having his character, like constantly going back to his character as he gets more and more invested in the story, is just such a clever psychological trick, because he is the audience's eyes. So he's us. So when he gets tense, when, you know, the screeching eels are coming for Buttercup, you know, and then it cuts back to him in the bed, and you continuously come back to him as he becomes more and more invested and starts, no, that's not how it goes. She can't marry Humperdinck. Just,
you read it wrong.
Like, you get far more invested because he's getting more invested, and it's such a really clever little tool to use for a film, which I hadn't really seen before, and it's marvelous.
Yeah, I can't remember any. Top of my head, I can't remember films where I've seen that happen either.
I mean,
Bedtime stories.
Deadpool 2 does it, which there's like a G-rated or a PG-rated cut of Deadpool 2 where he tells the story of Deadpool 2 to Fred Savage.
Really?
Yeah, it's quite
funny.
Yeah. So he's like he kidnaps him and like ties him to the bed and tells the story of Deadpool 2.
Are you kidding?
It's great. Yeah.
As if it's a principle. Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
I like. Actually, at the moment, there are a lot of. I don't even know if they're parodies, but a lot of actors are getting in and making these mini Princess Bride scenes. Have you seen those?
They are, yeah. It's so cute doing it for a charity. There's a the world. Oh, it's a cooking. I think they're feeding the homeless. It's a cooking charity. I don't really have it on the top of my head, but it's gorgeous. I think my favorite one that I've seen is Paul Rudd. If you haven't seen Paul Rudd's, look his up. He did a recreation of the scene where Wesley is in bed and he can't stand up and he's threatening. And it's marvelous. He's so good. Or Jack. There's one done with Jack Black where he's climbing up the cliffs and
they're good. So they're all on IMDb. They're actually credited as IMDb films. I didn't realize. So yeah, go find them there or on the YouTubes.
Yeah, they were made for the failing streaming service that's called Quibi.
Oops. Yeah. Maybe we should go on that server and help them out a little bit with our viewership.
I do not have a subscription to Quibi. But I think we should jump straight into the characters now, because there are so many great and amazing characters in this film. Is there anyone in particular that you would like to start with?
Well, let's just go. Why don't we start with Wesley?
Wesley himself, the Dread Pirate Roberts, the Man in Black.
Wesley, farm boy,
yes, performed incredibly by the marvelous Carrie Elways. He is just so wonderful in this role. Like, I could not see anyone else do this. He's part sort of Errol Flynn, who was Robin Hood, and he just exudes confidence, and he's just handsome and charming and intelligent and competent, and can fight, and has a deep-seated love that drives him, and it's all in his performance. Cannot speak more highly of just the character and how well it's written, and also the actor portraying him as well.
Portrayed. There's one word that I use to epitomize his portrayal of this character, and that's intense. I struggled to find a scene where he actually blinks. Like, he always has this intensity about him with every line that he delivers, especially to Buttercup. But the scene where he is in the bed and he can't move, he doesn't blink at all.
Yeah,
I saw one blink, and that was at the beginning when he's talking to Buttercup and he's about to leave, and he says something like, I'll always come back to you because it's true love. Like, in that moment where they're very close and it's a close-up shot, he does blink. But I don't know. I wasn't looking all the way through, to be honest, but that's something that just grabbed me. I thought, what is it that makes every one of these scenes of his so gripping? And I think that's definitely an acting technique, and it might have been directed. We spoke about that with with Scott Pilgrim versus the World? How
I was about to say he would have felt right at home with Edgar Wright and Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, but I thought that was really. I think that would have been a conscious decision, because I've seen interviews with him, and he doesn't just have a robotic set of eyes. They do have fluid on them, and they do need to have some sort of wetness to allow the senses to work. So he so got into his character, and you're right, so smart and everything. He's just so good at everything.
I think
and his dreaming.
You got the word absolutely right. Intense. He has an intensity to him that is just, he exudes confidence and charisma, and it comes through the screen, and every time he's there, you can't help but have your eyes on him. And yeah, he's not bad to look at either. He's a gorgeous, gorgeous man. I really love.
Reminds me of a young me.
Well,
he reminds me of a young me.
I'm glad that you can see yourself in this character and this performance. That's a good way to see yourself. I'm on board with that. I wish I had that kind of confidence.
Very noble. His character is one of nobility and of trust and of love. He's just, what's that word? I don't know. Everything that I just said.
Yeah, it's great. I really like that he put in a really good physical performance as well. So all of the sword combat, he trained for months and months to make sure that it looked as incredible as it could. Both he and Mandy Patinkin trained together, which I'm absolutely sure we'll talk about the scene where they had a duel a little bit later in our What About Whens.
Yes, we will.
But yeah, and then also just the chemistry that he has with the character that we might talk about next, and that is Buttercup, played by the wonderful Robin Wright. And as it says in the credits, introducing Robin Wright. I didn't realize that this was her first film.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I completely fell in love with her this week watching this movie. She is just not only a well-written character, especially for the time, as a well-written female character, but yeah, again, another performance that is just, she's so fierce and strong, and again, capable and smart, and so full of love and passion, and just has onus over what she wants and what she believes in, and will just follow it to the bitter end. And it's just, again, so lovely to see a character written like this.
Yeah, and that they're just destined to be together, and they know that they're meant to be together, and they're not. There would have been temptation along the way for both of them, and you just know that it never would have gotten in their way for their quest to continue to find each other. You just know. Yeah. All of Wesley's years of being the dread pirate Roberts. I sometimes think, what on earth was he doing? Was he lost? Was he just trying to get his way back around to come to Florin? But there's no doubt that the two of them had this fire burning for each other.
Yeah.
And it just comes to light whenever they see each other, whenever they look into each other's eyes.
You get it so early on with just that establishing scene of them on the farm, and then when he leaves, and you hear the grandpa's narration over the top being like, and his ship was lost, he never came back. He was killed by the dread pirate Roberts. And then just her performance of her sitting in the chair and just saying, "I'll never love again," is just, it's so true. You can see it. You can feel her heart ripped in half in that moment. It's such an incredible performance. So yeah, I love Buttercup. And everything that she represents in the film.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. All I know is like House of Cards that she's in now. I couldn't even place. I should just scroll through the web and have a look at what she's in. But I just look at her now in the character she portrays. I haven't seen that, but in the stills, she's such a hardened character.
If you want to see an intense performance.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, she's great. She also plays Wonder Woman's mother, I think, or at least the matriarch in the film Wonder Woman. Yeah, which is another great performance. I love her chemistry with Carrie Elways. They're so strong together on screen. There's like a genuine love and affection there. I was doing a little bit of reading, and in my research, I found that they were just inseparable and smitten with each other from the moment they met to right until the end of filming. In fact, the last shot that they filmed was the kiss at the end on the horse.
Yeah.
And they just kept finding excuses to film it over and over and over. Oh, this take didn't work. Let's try it again. Oh, I messed this up. Let's go again. Apparently, both of them in equal measure were doing it. And it's nice to hear stories like this of people having a good time on set and really enjoying their time together. And it feels like from the little research that I've done in this last week that happened with a lot of the characters and performers on set.
That is really cool. I talk about that in other episodes as well, that I like hearing stories where they have these good relationships.
So I deliberately wrote it down so that I could tell you.
Oh, thank you. That's the second nice thing you've done for me this episode, Leigh. Wow, it's such a change to every other one.
I haven't told him that we're ending the podcast after this episode. I mean, no, definitely not. I'm having way too much fun for that. Oh, well, should we go on to the man who is to become the next Dread Pirate Roberts after this movie ended?
Let's
the marvelous Inigo Montoya.
Mandy Patinkin. Mm-hmm.
Mandy Patinkin. He's so great.
Yeah, I want his hair. I used to have long hair. I want his hair back. I shaved.
Your long hair. Yes, you did. Trimmed the beard for today.
I want to have a bit of I want to grab a foil and pretend like I can fence and pretend to be a Spaniard out in my garage and have a Star Wars lightsaber moment, but with amazing sword play techniques, and then switch to my right hand. And
I think he is by far and away the coolest character in the entire film. Just everything that he says and does is just oozes coolness and calmness. And again, and we're going to talk about the writing in a little bit, but just a little bit on Inigo, is that everything that he does and who he is, you don't learn about him through exposition. You learn about him through his actions, and him telling the story rather than other people jumping in and being like, oh, I hired you because you're loyal and because you've got good values and things like that. But no, you don't do that. You have him standing over the top of the cliff and offering to lower the rope when the Dread Pirate Roberts is climbing up. And then when he gets there and goes to draw his sword, he goes, no, catch your breath. Wait. Like, you learn so much about this character in that tiny little moment. So testament to the script. And again, to the performance. I mean, he's marvelous, and when he finally gets revenge, because his entire arc is set upon by him wanting to get revenge for the death of his father by finding the six-fingered man. It's just it's such a nice resolution for his character when he finally gets that. Spoilers.
Finally gets it, and then because I was wondering, like, what's he gonna do now? And I totally didn't even expect it when he's like, you know what? Have you ever considered going into piracy? I'm like, oh, of course. What else has he got to live for now? But you're right. He made it dead clear right at the beginning. He swore an oath to help him up. He swore an oath to help Wesley up the cliff by swearing on his father's grave, or on the name of his father. And the story comes directly after. What's his purpose in life? And he's not there. He doesn't hold malice to anyone. He's not a murderer, but he's in the business of revenge. And as a true fencing student of the arts, he loves it for the classic art that it is. He respects it. He respects someone else who also can fence, and he has this respect and delight with seeing the skill.
He has so much joy. Yeah, no, there's so much joy on his face in that moment where he's like, you're a better fighter than I am. He's like, then why are you smiling? Because I know something that you don't.
Yes, let's do that later.
So good.
You're right. The character is straight out there. It's on the sleeve. And he's so nice to everyone that he comes across. He's just so, discerning? He's really humble, and very giving and empathetic to everyone. He's so nice.
I wouldn't say he's too humble. I mean, he does when he's climbing up the cliff. He does say, "I'm going to do him with my left hand because it'll be more of a fight." It's like I don't think he's that humble.
Well, no, I'm thinking more in the other areas.
He knows how skilled he is.
Yeah, and I guess if you're about to go head to head, where it's your life or theirs, you're going to have some sort of confidence about yourself. No, I'm talking more with the. Maybe I shouldn't have said humble. Yeah, he's not really, is he? He's a good guy.
He boasts a lot. He's a good guy, and I really love.
Just like totally not humble.
I really love, and we're going to use the segue again because it's just too good. I really love his relationship with Fezzik. Fezzik is such a
Andre
nice
the Giant
character as well, and you could not imagine anyone other than Andre the Giant portraying this character. I know I looked up a few people who were considered for the role of this one. Some names of note were Arnold Schwarzenegger was considered.
Yeah, I thought it wasn't Schwarzenegger.
Years before the movie got made. I think in the 70s it was optioned to be made. And it didn't end up going ahead. And then by the time it was going to get made, Arnold Schwarzenegger was the biggest star in the world, and they couldn't afford to get him, so that they just didn't get him. Another name was Liam Neeson, and this is a quote. Apparently, Liam Neeson said, "But upon hearing that he was only 6'4", he didn't get the role." Yeah, so they wanted an actual giant. Like, Liam Neeson is a huge man.
Is he?
Yeah, he's really tall, yeah.
Wow. I wonder with Arnold if they got him in. I think he would have been too harsh for the role. Is Andre the Giant, is he French?
He's French, yeah.
So he has this really soft way of speaking. His accent is, he's such a
gentle giant.
Thick accent. But yeah, he does portray this gentle giant, which actually works so well with the role. I don't think Arnold's really sharp Austrian accent that he would have had back then would have done much for this role at all. Although the Austrian accent has got a bad rap because of Arnold mainly, but it can be quite gentle. It's not as harsh as some of the German accents. But anyway, I know what I'm talking about.
I'm sure we'll get to do some Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonations at some point in the movie calendar, because there will definitely be a couple, or at least one Arnie film that'll appear on the calendar. So that'll be a fun day whenever that happens. So look forward to that, everybody.
We're going to be all running to the chopper.
Yeah, but no, I love Fezzik. He's just, I think a lot of Fezzik is Andre. I think that they're, and maybe it's not. Maybe he is a completely different person than the way he is portrayed on screen, which is just a testament to how good of a performer he actually is. But again, through the research that I did, when in an interview he was asked what was his favorite thing about being in The Princess Bride, and without missing a beat, didn't even pause. The quote was, I didn't write it down, but I might be paraphrasing here, but he said, "Nobody looked at me," which was like, the interviewer kind of saw it as nobody stared at him, like he was an equal in everybody's eyes.
Yeah.
He was just treated equally, just like a regular person, rather than people kind of staring at him for, being the actual giant that he is. Which is just, it's such a wholesome thing. I love the fact that there was such an inclusivity on set, and just this camaraderie between the cast and crew. It's always really nice to hear. And I could be wrong. There could have been some issues that happened. There usually always is. But yeah, from everything that I've heard and read, this film was a dream to make and do for everyone.
Well, how sad is that someone like Andre the Giant, who is this worldwide star, this famous wrestler who's getting paid millions of dollars at the time for his fights, was still affected by what people would say around him, maybe under his breath or to his face, that maybe it wasn't to the point of bullying, but I could totally see that there'd be a bit of mockery involved. But even his consciousness of looking different, but how strong. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I know what I'm trying to say. I don't know how to say it. Just how much it affects people. And you think someone like Andre the Giant, and then you think about kids in schools and everyone walking around the street, anyone around you, what people succumb to and what people are subjected to in the world we're in is really horrible. It hasn't really changed much, unfortunately, but it's really nice when there's a place, when it's safe, and you feel like you belong. I think that's super important.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never known what it's been like to be, different, for lack of a better word. I've grown up who I am. I'm a, straight white man. So there's no kind of persecution that I've had in my life. So it's very hard for me to put myself in shoes of someone like that. So yeah, the best that I can do, and the best that we can all do, is just be kind to each other, because you never know how far a nice comment and a smile can go for a lot of people.
Yeah, nicely put. Well, that's nice knowing that about Andre, and he definitely showed some incredible I don't know, not showed. He gained maybe a new following, because I don't know if people who watch this film would necessarily have been into the wrestling that he was part of, that he was pretty
You're
much
probably right.
in, you know. So it was a pretty cool, nice side of him.
Yeah, it's really nice. And now they were brought together by their boss, played by the wonderful Wallace Shawn, Vicini.
Vicini. I like how you're doing this, Leigh. You're drawing these connection lines through everything. Nice. Vicini.
I'm trying to be more courteous of time, because I know the episodes are very long. So thank you everyone who has kind of stuck with us for the way through. You can see how long the episode is already. It's going to be full of great content. Stick with it. It's going to be awesome. But no, so Vicini...
It has already been good.
Vicini is hilarious. I love his character. I think it's just like that sort of Sicilian vibe that that he gives off, and never get into a battle with a Sicilian when death is on the line is just one of the best quotes. I don't have that one written down later, so I thought I'd throw it in here.
Yeah, and I didn't write it down either, but he leads that line up with, the biggest, never start a land war. I can't
in Asia, yeah.
Never start a land war in Asia, and never.
And then just under that, the most well-known facts in the world is you never start a land war in Asia, and you never battle a Sicilian when death is on the line.
Oh, it's so good. He's another humble character, right?
No, very much not. No, I love that he's this great mind, and so it sets up our protagonist so well, having to, he goes through a battle of skill with the sword, and then a battle of strength against the giant, and then a battle of wits against the intellect. Is so nice, these little challenges. I'm sure that there's some kind of a historical event or some form of literature that wasn't this, that had to do with, I don't know, the Greek gods or something or other, that all of these stories are based off anyway. I don't know what it is this week. I didn't get a chance to dive into that kind of research, but I wouldn't be surprised to find out if there is some kind of challenge that humans have gone through with battling gods that was to this effect. But if not, it's in The Princess Bride, which is just as good.
Well, he does mention some learned people, and again, another quote: Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, morons.
So yeah, very humble. I really like the fact that he's killed by his own hubris as well.
Yeah, that's good. My daughter loved that bit. I don't know why. I watched it with my daughter. She's 10. She thought that was hilarious. Yeah, I think she did anyway. All right. Yeah, she did. She loved that.
I really enjoy that moment where the iocane comes in, and the odorless poison, and colourless and dissolves instantly poison. They both ingest it. And then at the end, where he's like, I didn't drink the wrong glass, I've just been building an intolerance to it over the years. And it's just, that's such a clever moment, and I love it. I love the writing. It's
so
marvellous.
Good. And also the beautiful Aussie reference in there. Why not?
Yeah, Australia.
Yeah, it's just like that, isn't it?
We're renowned for being criminals and poisons.
Yeah, all our animals are deadly, but also little powders that can kill people come out of this country as well.
If you're watching or listening internationally, it's all true. We're all criminals, and there's just nothing but poison and deadness in our country.
Mm-hmm. Google iocane powder.
Yes,
and you'll see exactly where it's from.
You know what it is. We put it in our tea.
Yeah, we think this is just water straight.
Yeah, no. Full of. It's good stuff. Puts hairs on the chest.
Yeah, exactly. I was being fed it in my crib.
It's like the little touches like that are so good, and really help to develop this world that we're introduced to. So we'll jump straight into the world building, because there's some amazing things
Let's do the world building, but I have to say on the iocane powder, just a nice little bit that I've never really thought of when it happened, when Humperdinck comes and tracks, and he sniffs the tube, and he iocane powder. It's odorless.
I'd bet my life on it. Well, then have a sip, have a taste.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Another call to the fantasy of the world, that you're reminded that it's just a little book, and there was a great jewel here. the winner ran off. So I love all that. All right. Yeah, look, lots more characters, but I think we'll touch on them as we go, including Billy Crystal, and Carol Kane. I keep forgetting Carol Kane's surname. Yeah, so we'll touch on those. All right, let's keep going. What did you say? World building.
Thank you for injecting on my amazing segue into world building. I don't have another one now. We'll just have to intercut it back into here.
You're not allowed. You were on too much of a roll.
But yeah, no, they do. They have the ability to sort of get away with so much with how they've set up the film, and again, the structure of having it being a story told to a child allows you to kind of really, really dive into the fantasy elements of the movie. So all of the things that get introduced, the first kind of one that's a left turn that kind of takes it out of a reality and into fantasy and fiction is the shrieking eels scene, where where Buttercup jumps into the water, and it's the shrieking eels, and they only screech louder when they're about to feed on human flesh. And you're like, oh, this has gone into a different route. But yeah, it sets you up for, there's so many things like the cliffs of insanity, and the fire swamp, the six-fingered man, and the ROUSs, and of course then the iocane powder. There's so many nice little elements that okay, this is its own world. Like, this isn't set in Europe as much as it looks like it's taken straight out of a some kind of non-fiction part of 17th century Europe. But yeah, it's a fake. It's an entirely fantasy land, and it's so well realized and has its own laws and creatures, and it's a lot of fun.
And the king and the Miracle Max. This is a time and a place of witches as well, and warlocks and magic.
Giants.
You're right. Yeah. And superhuman strength.
There's a dread Pirate Roberts that's been operating for years and years, and we find out that it's a mantle that's passed down from person to person, which is just really cool.
That's such a cool idea in itself.
Yeah,
that sounds like it could nearly be a full franchise. Why not?
Well, I don't know if this is in the novel or not, or when it was made, or if it predates this or this came after. But I'm not sure if you know the story of the comic character the Phantom.
Oh, I know who the Phantom is.
The Phantom. I don't know the Phantom all too well. My older brother is like a huge Phantom fanatic, so shout out to Brett, who kind of tried to get me into the Phantom world. I have a couple of Phantom comics. I've never read them. They're more just there to have on the shelf,
just to appease him.
The Phantom legacy has been sort of passed down from Phantom to Phantom. It's usually, I think, father to son, or at least it has. There is a sequel to this film that was supposed to be in the works, called Buttercup's Baby, and apparently the script is phenomenal. I think we're a little bit past getting it at this point, which is unfortunate, but apparently it would have been incredible, and I would have loved to have seen it.
Well, if it's anything like Bridget Jones's Baby, which I hope one day we will see on the calendar.
Bridget Jones's Baby, no.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think that either.
Maybe the first one, maybe Diary. I do love Bridget Jones's Diary.
I can take it or leave it. I could take it or leave it.
I love a good rom-com. It's not my favourite.
I was totally joking about the baby one.
Okay.
Because I didn't really take a great shining to it. Sorry to any Bridget Jones Diary people. Maybe the Diary will make an appearance. Let's move on.
We'll see. There's definitely going to be some rom-coms on the calendar.
Yes.
And soon. We're going to put some on soon, I promise.
Yeah.
But no, do you have anything about the world, like the world that this movie's set?
Oh, look, I just, touching on it before with the directing, with the DOP's work and bringing it to life. I think utilizing the real landscapes, which I think was somewhere in the UK or Ireland or something, these really nice landscapes with the rolling hills, which we see in a lot of those kind of medieval style films. I think that's a place of choice. It's largely untouched in the Highlands and all that kind of stuff. So, I like how they did that and mixed it with those totally fantasy areas. The what is the cliffs of insanity. And then the pit of despair as well. Making this dungeon, and then also talking about the type of technology that's around in those days. Where the torturing machine, the machine, is all run by this watermill. Watermill? What do you call it? Water thing?
Yeah.
Water wheel.
People know what you mean. A water wheel.
Yeah. Is pretty great, and it's all with suction. That's the height of technology. Then there's no electricity.
It sucks the life out of you.
It's just suction, So the costumes as well. Costumes are brilliant with the regal stuff. The crowns are pretty cool. I like the big
the costumes
crowns.
are incredible.
They go outwards. That's another one that Hugh Jackman does in their little skit portrayals.
Saw that one.
And he wears a steamer on his head, an upside down bamboo steamer tray. That's funny. Yeah. Anyway,
whatever you've got at home at this point. People are staying inside and doing the right thing.
Yeah, it was nice. So the physical world, I think, was done very well, and it doesn't take much to sell me on those kinds of things because, it's all fantasy. It's magic. As long as I think the costumes do the extra sell of making me believe that we're there. They do it. They do a beautiful job of it. The music plays a really good part, and the way the characters are. We're all waiting now. The characters are what, Terence? The way the characters are so on their own path. None of them. I don't know. They all stay true to their own beliefs and their own.
They're all well developed.
Yeah, the characteristics are there. They're strong. No one ever sways. That helps keep the structure throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, no, it's incredibly well done, and good shout out as well to the director of photography and to the score as well. The music is beautiful, and it all comes together to create this cohesive world.
Did you notice whenever there's Buttercup and Wesley in a scene, there's always that Mark Knopfler guitar playing. I
didn't notice that.
And then when the prince or anyone regal comes in, the triumphant trumpets. They always, and it was like very nice, not subtle at all. You almost think, come on, let's do this. This will be funny. You could imagine Rob Reiner sitting behind the editor going, come on, put the trumpets in there again. Just really harsh change between the scenes. I thought that was a bit of fun.
Yeah, but it all comes together in the incredible script by William Goldman. Such an incredible writer, and this script is one of his best in my opinion. He also wrote the book. It's so nice to see writers who write novels come in and then adapt for the screen, because a lot of the times it doesn't happen. So it's really nice to see here. Normally a production company will just purchase the options for the filmmaking rights to a novel and then just hire their own writers to adapt it after that fact. But yeah, it's always really nice. I think it can always work out better having the novel writers do it. Sometimes they can get a little bit of, oh no, this is my creation, I don't want to change anything. But this adaptation is just absolutely gorgeous. Again, the characters are just so perfectly well realized. And again, that structure, which I mentioned right at the beginning, of having the grandfather telling this story to his sick grandson, just allows for so many amazing moments where the voiceover the narration comes over from either the kid or the grandfather, and then they cut back to them, and you see them getting more and more invested and enjoying the story, and oh no, it's not another kissing part. Skip this. Let's go into the fire swamp. That sounds cool. All right. I'll humor you, and we'll skip to that bit.
Did he also write Did he help write the screenplay as well? Because you're right, to bring those characters from the book to the screen and have the original writer be a massive part of that is a huge nod to the strength of him in being able to do that. But he's not a stranger to film, right? So he's written other films as well.
Yeah, so the largest ones, I guess, of note would be All the President's Men and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. He wrote those films.
So he knows what he's doing.
He's been in the game a long time. He unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago in 2018. Lived a good life. He was 87 years old when he passed. But yeah, it's really nice that we've got this legacy film of his to enjoy and watch every year on a date to be determined.
Ooh, I wonder if this is going to be... if you were to ask him what film would you be most proud of, or what do you think you're going to be remembered for? I wonder if this would be his film. I just saw a little interview with Cary Elwes, and he said, the decision's made for me. The fans have probably already said it's going to be The Princess Bride. He did. I think they really tried to not reprise his role, but reprise his talent for comedy as well with Robin Hood. But definitely this film, and it wouldn't surprise me if nearly every actor that was in this film would say, you know what, this is going to be the one that I want to be remembered for.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that. Very much Mandy Patinkin. And when we were talking about the charity event that's just recently happened, where a bunch of just actors all around the world jumped in and had a go at a few scenes and then sort of put them together, all filmed on their phones from home. One was done by Rob Reiner himself, the director.
Yes. Well, he plays the grandfather.
He plays the grandfather telling the story, and it's so sweet. And then he had his father portraying as he walked out and did the very final As You Wish as he walked out the door, and it's just so sweet. Like, I almost cried just looking at that. It was just so gorgeous. I'm a softie when it comes to films at the best of times, but no, I've shed a few tears in the last week with this film.
Oh. It took me a while to realise, like many years, to realise that Rob Reiner was Carl Reiner's son. I didn't even click until quite recently, actually. Well, it kind of makes sense, in the family type of way. But it's really nice, and to see them come together in this little thing is really cool too.
Yeah, it was really sweet. Seek out that clip as well. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. All right.
I love all the dialogue in the movie as well. Like, it's so sharp and so witty. I mean, as we mentioned earlier, we're going to do some quotes very soon, so feel free to skip to there, but don't, because you'll go past what about when, and you'll definitely want to stay for that one, because it's one of the best parts. I love it. But yeah, the characters, again, just so well realized and so funny, and not having it very exposition heavy, having the characters kind of show who they are in their actions and what they do. And if there is an exposition piece, them following up on it as well. Like, you can have a character say, my one goal in life is to hunt down the person who killed my father. But unless you believe it and then are invested in it by the time you get there, there's no point in saying it. So yeah, having the performance behind it makes for so much. And so yeah, it's a beautiful combination of just writing and characters and acting. It's marvelous.
I would have liked to have seen more of he's credited as the albino, in the pit of despair. I wanted to see more of his character. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, he's got a great introduction as well, where he's got that voice. Where he can't speak. You're in the pit of despair. Don't even think about trying to escape.
And he's got this really cool, like, deep, almost velvety tone as well. I mean, this as velvety and as smooth as a really harsh English accent could be. But it was very cool. I like the depth of it. They would have loved doing that. And you know what? Those are moments where I can't help but think, I wonder if they just ad-libbed that. But
who knows?
Credit either goes to the actor or credit goes to the writer. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Someone gets credit for thinking about that, and it's masterstroke. Those little hints of comedy that they just write themselves.
Yeah, haven't spoken too much about the comedy in the film. It is just rife with humor. This, like, we talked about how infinitely quotable it is, and we'll get to those soon. I've got so many comedy quotes in that section ready to go. But yeah, it's just so funny. But it's also, you're so invested in the stories as well. Like, you really want Buttercup and Wesley to come together, because they love each other so deeply and so fiercely that not even death can stop them from being together. And they don't just say it, like, you believe it. They literally have him come back from the dead so that they can be together.
It was so frustrating, and I'm so glad that they solved this very quickly. The first time that Buttercup actually sees Wesley up close is just after Vicini gets poisoned, right? He takes the blindfold off, and you're there as an audience member going, oh, she's going to recognize him. No. And it's not, they run away, and you think, come on, surely she would know. Surely. I'm so glad they didn't drag that out. And that again adds to the fantasy. He's wearing a mask. Ooh, you can't tell who he is. But they resolved that so quickly and so satisfyingly with, as you wish, falling down the hill, and it took that for her to realize who he was. I thought, that's one of those funnies where you think, what, of course, it's just silly. How can she not know who he is? The way he talks. If he's the love of your life, you're going to recognize the way he breathes. Yeah. Let alone everything he says.
He never spoke to her when they were on the farm. All he ever said to her was, "As you wish."
No, they spoke to each other. In the last scene, he explained things, and I'm sure there were other moments that were not captured in the storybook.
Probably.
That allowed them to talk.
In the children's book, yeah, I'd imagine so.
Yeah, maybe that was in this. I mean, they have a baby, right? Or at least she has. Anyway, so I like that they gave the audience, the real audience watching the film, very quick satisfaction in she knows who he is.
I do really like that scene. I do really like that scene because it kind of, he's trying to figure out if she still loves him before she takes her away from her to-be husband. Yeah. Which again is such a noble thing to do. Like, he's not just trying to do it to figure out, oh, I only want to be with her if she loves me. My understanding is he doesn't want to take her away from a loving relationship. As much as they're destined to be together forever, he needs to find out whether she still has that burning love. And again, in an amazing piece of performance by Robin Wright, where he mocks her and she's like, "You mocked me once, do not do it again. I died that day."
Oh,
when she found out that the Dread Pirate Roberts had killed her Wesley, and it's just, it rips your heart out. Like, she is still mourning years and years after, and so it's in that moment that I think he's like, okay, I can tell her now.
Yeah, well, that was it. He was just taunting her. He wanted to hear from her. Is she actually in love with this guy or not? It was good. It was good.
It's gorgeous. All right. Well, unless you've got anything else to talk about the writing, we should get into the world famous section. So we've got quotes to do after this as well, so that'll take up a bit of time.
I'm just thinking other notables. Peter Cook, the clergyman. Yeah, let's talk just very quickly. He's in as the impressive clergyman. Yes, which, when we spoke about Hunt for the Wilder People, and Taika Waititi took the role of being the minister. This comical person in this role of utter, a time of respect and seriousness. This impressive clergyman, Peter Cook, just totally blasts this out of the water with this clergyman who has this speech impediment. I can't believe I actually said that. I can't believe
he tripped on that word. That was the most perfect word for you to trip on. I'm so sorry. And we're not making fun of anybody who has speech impediments. That was too good.
But what's funny about it is my wife, when she was watching it, she goes, my sister got married to someone who spoke just like that. That. And it had an extra layer for me. So, and in the life of Brian, there's another instance of that, Release Brian, that. So it's funny that these kind of characters often get, well, let's talk about this in Aussie way, get the piss taken out of them pretty severely.
Yeah, it's actually not an okay thing to be honest.
It's not, but it's always this kind of character as well. It's just this once off, and it's a horrible way of just totally teasing people. But
it's not cool.
This was at my sister-in-law's wedding, and it was, I don't know what everyone did. I wasn't there, but I don't know if people were giggling. I don't know if it made things awkward. I have no idea if they even met the person who married them before. I don't know, but anyway.
I have to admit, when that scene started in the church, and we were introduced to the impressive clergyman, I think it's one of my favourite jokes in the film. It's just that visual one at the end where they're going through the cast and who they play, and then they've got the actor's name, and then the impressive clergyman was so marvellous. I had a little giggle to myself. But in that church, I was like, oh, this scene reminds me of another film. And I couldn't think of it at the time as to what it was. And then the scene kicked on, and then he starts off with that marriage. And I went, oh, it's this film that does that. I thought that the film that I was thinking of was something like a Mel Brooks, like Spaceballs or something, where they've got a character who did it, and they were taking the mickey out of this film. But no, it was this film that was doing it. And I was like, oh, I thought this film was a little bit above doing something like this, but no.
Nah.
It was in 1987, which is not an excuse.
No.
But yeah, I thought that moment was in a completely different movie, not this one, and
Wow.
I was taken aback a little bit by it.
That's how iconic and cult statusy this is. How long ago this thing was made.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so there was that. We're not going to talk Billy Crystal. We're going to talk Miracle Max.
We've got that covered. We're going to do it in a sec.
Do it later. Let's do it.
We might even do it in this section right here that we love to call "What About When" or hashtag "What About When." So this is where we love some audience contributions. So if you're listening or watching, we've got the next couple of films in the pipeline ready to go. But yeah, if you hit us up on Twitter or Instagram, make sure you use the hashtag #WhatAboutWhen so that we can find it, or leave it in the comments below for future episodes and we can screenshot them and pop them in here. Now, I've got one from Twitter this week, and Terence has got a very extra special one. Would you like to do your What About When first?
Okay, I will. We have all the socials and all the comments that Leigh mentioned, and also on our website we have a comment field, so you can send us something that you want to write a little bit more than just in a tweet. It's a great place if you've got suggestions for when the movie calendar date should be for the film. So, a bit longer. Now, I have one here that is very special to me because it was actually from my daughter. So she sent this in. She went onto our website and she submitted this, and she was so proud. She told me, and I just had to. I didn't realize, so I checked it and read it. So I'm going to read it out in its entirety.
This is so cute.
So she wrote, "What about when Buttercup pushes Wesley down the hill and he says, 'As you wish,' then Buttercup pushes herself down the hill too." So that's one what about when. She loved that. She told me her favorite moment was when Buttercup realized that the Dread Pirate Robert was actually Wesley. So I felt beautiful. I thought a good job as a dad.
I love that she says that she pushed herself down the hill.
She pushed herself down the hill.
So cute.
So that was one of them. And when she tells me, she goes, "Oh, oh, 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 oh," and she mimes the tumbling. But she continues. She has a couple, and she says, she keeps going and says, "In the last fighting scene." Sorry.
You can do this, Terence. You can do this.
"In the last fighting scene, when what's his name keeps saying, 'I am blah, blah, blah. You killed my father, prepared to die.' And he got more confident and the six-figure band got weaker."
Bravo.
Now,
round of applause for Terence's daughter.
At you, my beautiful little girl. I think
So
it was
adorable.
hilarious how you wrote it. Leigh actually saw this first and
I got the email.
and I said to him, apparently my daughter emailed you. And he goes, "Yeah," and says a lot of blah, blah, blah. And I thought, what on earth? I said, all right, she writes like she talks. Okay, good. But she actually wrote.
I love that she wrote, "When what's his name?"
And my name is blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. That is so adorable. Thank you so much to her for that. That genuinely made my day when I read that. Yeah,
that was good. Two great
amazing,
what about whens.
Great what about whens. Yeah, marvelous. We've actually got a what about when from Twitter.
Okay.
Which I'll read out from JJ. So this is hashtag what about when Granddad drops the "as you wish" at the end, and you can pinpoint the exact moment that the kid's mind implodes. That is such a sweet little bookend to the movie, as Granddad is, leaving after finishing the story, and the kid asks, "Can you come back tomorrow and read it again?" "As you wish."
And with a great turn, and like he lifts his hat a little bit, it's just classic.
Peter Falk, man, he's amazing.
Classic Columbo. I don't know why I talked like that, but yes, it was really good, and it's really good close up of it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous moment. Yeah, as I said, great way to bookend the film. Now, I've got a couple more What About Whens. Did you have any that you wanted to do?
I do. I have one from... Actually, this is from a friend at work who didn't text or anything. I won't name her, but if she watches this, she'll know who she is. There are a couple, and they're more just her favorite moments she loves.
Cool.
With the scene where Wesley is brought to Miracle Max's house, and he blows the billows into his lungs, and they listen for the reply, and he says true love, but he doesn't want to believe that he said that. I'm guessing because he's going to have to do a lot of work or something. I don't know. So he's like, to blathe, which we all mean is to bluff. He must have been playing cards or something. And then Carol Kane's character comes running out. Liar! She loves that scene. That's hilarious. That was one that got me as well. I thought, oh, there's a woman in here as well, screaming bloody murder. I thought that was great as well.
I did read that during the entire filming of the scenes that had Billy Crystal in them, the director couldn't be on set because he was laughing too hard. He couldn't direct. He had to be in a separate area. And Mandy Patinkin actually received like injuries to his ribs because he was laughing so hard at Billy Crystal, which is... I mean, he was a true comedian, Billy Crystal. Go back and watch some of his old stuff. He is incredibly funny.
He would have just been...
performer.
I reckon every line would have been different. Every single take. He would have just gone, boom, another one.
Editing that scene would have been a nightmare.
Oh, man. All right, there are a couple of quotes coming up about that scene.
Yeah.
All right,
now, that's a good one. I've got... we've already talked about the Battle of Wits against Vicini a little bit, so I'll cross that one out. What about Inigo? What about when Inigo and the Dread Pirate Roberts have the sword fight on top of the cliffs of insanity? This has got to be one of... It's the coolest set piece in the entire film, and it's one of the best set pieces in fantasy cinema. It's so cool. This whole fight is just choreographed so well, and as we said before, those actors did all of their own sword fighting, 100% of it. The only times that there wasn't those two actors was when it was Mandy Patinkin doing the flip over, Inigo Montoya doing the flip over Dread Pirate Roberts.
Carrie Elwes did that flip.
No, Carrie always jumped over the top, down backwards, and then
what about with they jump off the rocks onto this horizontal bar, and Mandy Patinkin jumps and swings and lands.
Yeah, and then lands.
But then Wesley's character throws the sword.
Does the showboating. Like, there's no need for that, Dread Pirate.
Yeah, I don't know if that was Carrie, but
that was cool. Not Carrie.
How cool. He lands right next to the sword, doesn't even look. Yep, and boom.
So badass.
I've got to say, that scene has got to be my all-time favourite sword fighting style scene, and I've watched all Game of Thrones, and I've seen a few Star Wars films as well, and like they're amazingly choreographed, but that one just takes the cake. It's the perfect amount of time. They don't edit stupidly and cut and do close cuts of the swords bashing and all.
They let you see them.
They do everything wide, you know. They sure, there are a couple of trampolines on the set, and there is a crash mat with some sand dusted over it that you see.
So great.
I don't care.
It just adds to the little nuances and fun bits.
Just so well done, and it has to be. It actually is up there in one of my favorite scenes of all time. Of every scene in a film, I could watch that again and again and again and again.
So I've got a fun fact about this scene that I found out, and it was. The original scene was only supposed to be a minute long. The fight was supposed to be a minute, and it was going to be on flat ground. And so they trained for months, about 3 months or so, the actors performing a minute-long fight scene on flat ground. And then the director came back and said... And they were super proud of it as well. The actors came back and they're like, we've nailed this. This is going to be amazing. He's going to be so impressed. And then he was like, it's not long enough. It needs to make it longer. And so the fight choreographer... whose name I don't have in front of me, but he's a very prolific fight choreographer, and he's done a lot of films. I think he has done Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and a few others as well. they then made the set full of all of these fake rocks, and so they could sort of run up and pause and do flips and things to kind of extend the time, making the whole 3-minute plus scene of them. And it's just so much the better for it. Like, it's one of your favorite scenes. It's one of mine. It's so marvelous, and you learn about the characters and what they're like, who they are, their egos, and as well as their skill levels with each other. And yeah, it's marvelous. All culminating as well in Inigo essentially about to be defeated, and he's like, I couldn't kill you. I would rather break a stained glass window. As rather than an artist such as yourself.
Just the whole setup to that scene, this amicable respect that they have, and he gives the sword to Wesley to examine.
And even he's like I've never seen its equal.
I just the way they sit, they're just sitting having a chat. Like, immediately I thought, like, the first time watching this, I wasn't a child, but I think it was in the 90s, and yes, I was not a child in the 90s. No, I was. It was late 90s. Anyway, early 90s. What am I doing? And I even knew then, like, this is different. There's something cool about this, and the humor shone through it, as well as the nice moments there. But this has to lead me into my next what about when. Okay. And it happens in the fight scene, and it happens 2 times, and it is one of the quotes, but it is definitely one of my biggest what about whens. And I can't think of the actual quote, but I know something you don't know. I'm not left-handed. Oh man! And when
the switch is so smooth,
he does it in this kind of roundabout way, and then of course when Wesley's character does it as well. You just think it can't get any. It just was next level.
What's really tremendous about that is that the Dread Pirate Roberts knows that Inigo Montoya is right-handed, because he's got his sheath for his sword is on his left hip. He also gestures a lot with his right hand. But what Dread Pirate Roberts does is he's completely for the ruse that he's left-handed. So he carries his sword sheath on the right hip.
Wow.
He also empties his boot with his right hand. With his left hand. And so he is 100% doing the ruse until the time where he has to go right-handed to defeat Inigo. And like that, it's so clever. Like, there's so many good attention to detail moments in this film, but that's one of my favorites.
Oh, so good. Just starts when he's on the cliff and he has to throw the rope. Yeah. Like that, where the dialogue begins there, that's the start of the scene. Just beautiful. Yeah. Just amazing.
I think one of my other favorite, and this is my last one about when my last favorite attention to detail moment will happen at this next what about when, and it's what about when Inigo Montoya finally gets revenge for his father's death by killing Count Rugen.
Yes, that was very satisfying.
Such an iconic scene,
especially after he's coming back from getting it in both shoulders. Like, oh no,
and then in the stomach,
not even going to do it.
It's the first time you see blood, like, to that extent. Anyway,
to that extent,
which makes it even more visceral. Like, he's been stabbed in the stomach, and then this blood is just there all over his hands and all over his clothes. And you think that he's a goner, and then he gets up and just starts quoting the iconic quote over and over and over again before finally getting his revenge. Beg for me, give me money, give me power, ask me what I want. I want my father, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. That was really well written. Really well written, because a lot of other films would have gone into some big montage as he's flaying him, or I don't know. It was beautiful, just drawing out this surrender, this helplessness from this evil being, Christopher Guest, by the way, who, that's another amazing part that we didn't talk about at all, who he is and what he does, and with Rob Reiner as well. But I didn't think he could play such an evil character. It's so good. And to get his comeuppance on this was really good.
My attention to detail with this scene is that he only gives Inigo only gives him the injuries that he's received from him and nothing more. He gets exact revenge. He gets the cuts on his cheeks. He gets both shoulders, which he got in that fight, and then once in the stomach.
Which his father got.
Which is... that's what Inigo had got him
off him. He got this dagger thrown at him.
He only gives what he got. So it's, I love that. So there's no glorification of anything other than I'm just going to give you what you deserve and the pain that you've caused me.
Nice.
Great moment.
Nice little pickup. Yeah.
That's all I had for What About Wens. Did you have any more?
What about when we realised that this film is kind of very ahead of its time and it uses text language with the rodents of unusual size, ROUSs.
ROUSs.
That's pretty cool. I might text that to somebody. Lol.
Is that an initialism? Or is that
It's an acronymism. Acronicism.
Yeah, don't
just
words.
Letters. Don't do words.
Don't do words.
I don't do good words.
My niceness has expired now. Thank you for playing.
Yeah, look, this film, nearly every quote is a great what about when. Yeah. So, not to muddle them up, is this where we're going to get into quote land?
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all of those who identify as otherwise, Terence has just taken the Segway horse here and ran with it. Now, that's amazing. Well, now that we're in the quote section, Terence, would you like to give us some of your favourites?
All right, can't you stop rhyming even for a minute? Anybody want a peanut? Yes.
Yeah, so beautiful. Builds their relationship. It's such a good character moment.
No, I got that wrong. No more rhymes now. I mean it.
Yeah.
Anybody want a peanut?
Anyone want a peanut?
You can't do a quote section without getting the quote right. But here, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get the quotes wrong, and you are going to know what they are, and you're going to just deal with it and go watch the film.
And you're going to be so angry, and you're going to be yelling at your phone or your computer or whatever it is you're listening to us on, and we can only apologise in advance.
Please comment below with the correct quote.
I've got when they're going into the fire swamp for the first time.
Yeah.
And Buttercup says, "We'll never survive," and the response is just nonsense. You're only saying that because no one ever has.
Yeah. What a great attitude to have.
Yeah, so positive.
I love that.
We could live in this swamp forever.
Yeah, and what about the ROUSs? No, they don't exist.
I don't think they're real.
That was good. Look, As You Wish has got to be just a timeless, beautiful,
gorgeous,
great, and for us to know that there's another meaning that this actually means. I love you.
All I want in life is for Carrie Elways to just look at me in the eyes and say, "As you wish." It is
with his
so
steely
gorgeous.
blues.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. All right, a Fred Savage quote. This is, and look, I grew up with Fred Savage. I grew up with the Wonder
Really?
Years. Yes.
Did he live down the street or something?
He lived in my TV box.
Oh, okay. And that's so cruel of you. Why would you do that to someone?
He was fine. So
children,
he always looked out.
Children, there was a time when TVs were boxes and they weren't just these flat pieces of plastic and metal that we have now. They were they took up the entire room that they were in. You had to put them in the corner with Fred Savage inside them.
Oh, we call them cathode ray tubes, also known as CRTs. It was amazing, these lights and things. So I grew up following the Wonder Years and getting frustrated to no end by Kevin Arnold. That was his character. Oh man! So I loved watching him play. I just saw Kevin Arnold in the bed as a sick child, and the first time he interrupts, I think you said, the first interruption we get is the shrieking eels, but we get an interruption before, and it's when Wesley says goodbye to Buttercup.
Yeah.
And he says, and they embrace and they kiss, and he goes, "Well, hold it. Are you trying to trick me? Where's the sports?" And then he cocks his head and he goes, "Is this a kissing book?"
Oh, it's so good. And wonderfully delivered by Terence, I might add. That was perfect. Channeling your inner Fred Savage.
That was beautiful. And he had the good
great.
complaining lines all the way through. But you're right, as he changes, it was nice to see him, get in touch with his softer side.
I thought it was inconceivable that you'd be able to pull off that quote, and here we are. You've done it.
You say this word a lot. I do not think you know what this word means. I don't know how to say that. He says it so much better.
Yeah, and then the following up from Inigo Montoya, I'm just going, you keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
Yes, that's it. What you said.
On the Cliffs of Insanity.
Nice little accent there. He says good. Inconceivable 5 times in the film, I counted.
Yeah.
And I think it does mean what he thinks it means. He's using it correctly. He's just overusing it, isn't he?
I know. There are definitely times that he is not using it correctly.
It really? Okay. I don't know. I'm no linguist.
I mean, maybe.
I think, because it means like unbelievable or like impossible. Anyway, whatever. I love all of Fezzik's rhymes and how Inigo tests him. Walks up slowly on the boat. That Vicini, he can fuss. And he goes, fuss. Think he like to scream at us. He just kind of, I don't know. This is probably the world's first instance of freestyling. It was really, really, you're right. It was a sweet way, again, to also tell you more about the character.
Yeah, great character moment. It reminded me a lot of
listening for the rhymes.
It reminded me a lot of Hunt for the Wilder People, when Julian Dennison's character starts just randomly going on and saying haikus. And you're like, where is this coming from? And then, but it's such a sweet character moment. So yeah, I love it. Check out our Hunt for the Wilder People episode as well. Good one.
Yeah, that was a really good one. Really fun one.
Yeah. I love Inconceivable. My favorite quote in the film, other than the quote that opened this opened the podcast, has to be when they're about to break into the castle and they get up to the gate, and Inigo goes to the gatekeeper. Give me the gate key. He says, I have no key. Fezzik, tear his arms off. Oh, you mean this key?
I love that.
It's so great.
And he doesn't even wait for 5 seconds.
Oh, you mean this key? Oh, it's so fun and so perfectly delivered as well. It's just that, great comic timing from that moment. It's marvelous. It's my favorite bit in the whole film.
I like that one. What's a Holocaust cloak? Is that a thing? Is that just a big jacket or something?
I couldn't bring myself to Google it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems just like a big, heavy overcoat. We're probably wrong. Let us know if we're wrong, please. So. We want to know.
Now, there's one more quote that we haven't done. And
are we going to have a quote off?
Terence, I think we should both do it, because why not? So, give me your best one, and then I'll give you my best one.
All right. I have to get into character. I have to do my hair. I have to pretend that I can... I don't do a good accent.
It's fine. It's fine. We're Australians. Australians can't do accents, so we're sorry.
All right. Hello.
Yes?
Hello. I can't do it. Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Yay! We'll be so proud.
Go you.
All right. Okay, here we go. Hello. Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Yay! Oh,
you got to do one.
That was fun. And then say it over and over again. Oh, building up. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father.
Prepare to die.
Oh, it's so good.
You just got to get it out.
It's up there. It's up there as one of the greatest lines in all of cinema, in film history, and will stand there forever. It's just amazing. Love it. Oh, I'm so glad that we got to do a quote section.
Yep.
More movies that are infinitely quotable. There's so many films that I can think of that are just so quotable, and when they come onto the calendar, we'll definitely do a quote section, because that was a lot of fun. I loved that.
Yep. Now, look, I don't know if we're going to do these types of films, but I really would like to see maybe one with Christopher Guest You know, one of the mockumentaries that he's a part of, Rob Reiner as well. Actually, there was...
Anything in particular from those creators that you would like to see on the
3.
calendar?
You know, This Is Spinal Tap, A Mighty Wind, Best in Show, those things. I really like This Is Spinal Tap. In fact, This Is Spinal Tap, I saw a connection between This Is Spinal Tap and... What's the film we're talking about now? The Princess Bride. In the bedroom, in the grandson's bedroom, I'm going to say Kevin Arnold's bedroom, there is a hat. It's like a naval hat, the baseball cap. Is this the thing that you're nodding in confidence? Okay, so this hat, I didn't research it, but I know Rob Reiner, he wears one of these hats. It's not the same one, because I did put the film on straight after to see. It's not the exact same cap, but it's the navy blue one with the gold embroidery that has some sort of naval relevance, I would imagine, or Air Force, I don't know. But he wears it as the documentary filmmaker in This Is Spinal Tap, and he talks to the camera at the beginning of the film wearing one of these caps. So I saw it hanging in the bedroom. I thought, there's something there. So tell me, I want to hear now what you found out about this, or what you know about it.
I guess we'll just have to talk about This Is Spinal Tap to find out the answer to that one. No. So definitely, that is the hat. I don't know if it is the exact one, or if it's one of the hats. But yeah, so as part of the conditions that he had to doing the score and the music for this film, was he wanted the hat to be in the movie, and so Rob Reiner put it in the kid's bedroom.
Are you talking about Mark Knopfler?
Yes.
Okay, so he had the condition of making this hat appear in the film.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. How fun is that? I have a confession to make here on the Movie Calendar Podcast, episode 11. Are we at episode 11 already?
This is the 11th.
Yeah, 10 was Iron Man. Wow, crazy. I have not seen This Is Spinal Tap. I've never seen it.
So. It might divide us. Some people love it, some people hate it.
Right, well, look, because of how much you love it, I am very happy for it to go on the movie calendar, purely for how much you love it. And you constantly talk about it. And I'm excited to watch it. I don't know how I feel if I watch it and then I'm just like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. I can always find the positive in life. I try my best to it at every opportunity, so I'm sure I'll be able to. I'm sure I'll love it.
There are a couple of films that are like that are really close to me that Leigh hasn't seen yet. I'm nervous about it. Sharknado is one of them. No, there are a couple of others, which I am honestly nervous. I really hope you really like them, but we'll talk about those later on as we get through.
I'm sure I will. I've heard nothing but good things from the film. I have a list of films that I have that's called my blind spot list, and there's just cinematic blind spots that I just haven't got around to seeing yet. And I'm checking them off, but I haven't seen every movie in existence because that's madness. So yeah, there's a few that have kind of fallen to the side when I've just decided to, I don't know,
be a human.
I'll watch
and live a life.
Yeah, I'll just watch the same films over and over again because I like the comfort. So I'll just put on a Pixar film, or because I love it.
Yeah, cool.
I don't think it's that inconceivable.
We've got a lot more films that we're going to talk about, obviously.
Yeah.
I love a lot of the people that are in this film here. I think this is a classic. This is going to be on repeat, even if it's not on the date that we assign it to in a few minutes' time or even 1 minute time. But I'm going to keep watching it all the time. I love it. I watch it with my family now. I don't watch too many of our films with my kids, but this one I happily can. And what a wonderful story of true love.
Yeah, and it's gorgeous.
It's
throughout the entire film. It's what begins it. It's what ends it. Yeah, it's all about true love, and it's really nice to have that in your life. And if you'd like a little bit, then you can check out The Princess Bride, which we're going to give you a date to do that now. So the movie calendar. This is the moment. So we've chosen a date for this film. We didn't receive any contributions for this week. Unfortunately, if you would like to contribute some for the weeks going forward, please let us know. Send us a DM or an email with a story as to why you think a certain film should appear on a certain date. And we'll do our best to talk about that film and pop it on the calendar for you. we received a lovely email this week from Tobias, who gave us a film suggestion, which, Tobias, if you're watching this episode, yes, that film is absolutely going to be on the movie calendar, and I really like the date that you've chosen as well. So I put a placeholder on the calendar of that date, of that film, just for you. I've responded to the email by the time he watches this, so he'll know all of that anyway. Goodness, The Princess Bride. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
So the date that we have chosen for The Princess Bride to be watched every single year is November 16th. And now the reason for this date is because we spoke a lot about the writing of this film and how good the script is and how good the novel was, and the amazing work that William Goldman did, adapting his own work into a screenplay. November 16th is the day we mentioned in 2018 he did pass away. November 16th is the day that he did leave this world. We thought to commemorate his life and the legacy that he has left, we should pop the film on that date as a tribute to him and the wonderful work that he did to bring this film to us.
Yeah, I'm sure every member of this film that made this film happen would probably agree with this date, hopefully. I like this date. I think it's really relevant and really sweet, and I'm very happy having it on this date too.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Yay. So if you'd like to, we announced last week in episode 10 the next 3 films that we're going to be doing. By the time this gets released, we may have even recorded the next week's episode. But follow us on the socials if you'd like to know when we're recording. So on Twitter and Instagram are the best ones to follow. We always do posts on the days that we're going to be recording, so you can check it out then if you want to get in any hashtag whataboutwhens or dates for the movie calendar. Next week is going to be A Quiet Place, John Krasinski's A Quiet Place, which Terence hadn't seen and has just recently watched and messaged me about it, and we cannot wait to talk about it.
Yep.
Spoilers, he liked it, thank goodness, because the movie's incredible. And then the week after that, because Tenet is supposed to be released from Christopher Nolan here in Australia, is going to be Inception we're going to do for the episode the week after A Quiet Place. But again, we're going to be recording it early because Terence and I are going on holidays, so we have to record them and edit them and then get them ready to upload for then. So get in your What About Whens and your calendar dates for those films.
Yeah, don't make it a painful experience for us. Don't write War and Peace inside of 50 tweets. Send the email. And look, I'm saying that because I'm horrible, because I wanted to get another quote in. Don't be painful. Why don't you give me a big paper cut and squeeze lemon juice in it. Yeah, that's a quote. That was a Billy Crystal quote. I wanted to put that in earlier. Don't be painful like that. Okay, no, write as much as you want. Email us. Drop a line in the contact page on our site. DM us on our socials. Yes, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, The Movie Cal, everything.
Yep. Awesome. No, that was really fun. Thank you, Terence, for recording this one. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. If you've gotten this far and you're on YouTube, a good thing that you can do if you haven't done so is just subscribe and leave a like. It helps us to get discovered while we're early on in this podcasting journey. And if
tell your friends
on your favorite podcasting app, you can give us a nice rate and review right in your app of your choosing. If you've made it this far, it's probably going to be a 5-star. Fingers crossed.
Mm-hmm.
Share it with a friend. And feedback. Feedback is really cool. We have received some amazing emails with feedback as to what people like, and so we're trying to do more of that. But we can only grow with your help. So please let us know.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Leigh. Thank you, everyone watching and listening. It was fun.
Until next week, we'll see you then for A Quiet Place.
See ya.
Bye.